Okay, something major is happening in the Middle East right now, and it's happening quietly, but with unbelievable speed. The United States is pulling its people out of some of its most critical posts in the entire world. And the reason? Well, the reason changes everything. Let's get into it.
So you have to be asking yourself the big question here. Why? Why this sudden, massive pullout? What could possibly make the U.S. trigger a withdrawal on this scale? We're not just talking about soldiers here, but diplomats and even their families. The answer points to a threat that is as direct as it gets.
It all starts in Qatar. We're hearing that military personnel and their families at the massive Al Udeid Air Base, and you gotta understand, this is the forward HQ for U.S. Central Command, the absolute nerve center for air operations. They've all been ordered to leave. And not next week, but right now.
Then you jump over to Bahrain. This is the home of the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, the force that patrols all the critical sea lanes in the region. Their people have also been told to get out. That's the naval backbone of the entire U.S. presence, and it's on the move. But this isn't just about the military. Over in Beirut, Lebanon, diplomatic staff at the American embassy have been ordered out too. That tells you the threat isn't just aimed at military targets, it's against any and all American presence. And maybe the most telling move of all, in both Iraq and Kuwait, it's the families of the troops who are being sent home. Look, when you start evacuating families, that's a whole different level. It means you believe the danger is real and it's imminent. So, what is this danger?
And that's the answer. The reason for this whole sweeping retreat comes down to one thing, a direct and very stark warning from Iran. They've drawn a red line in the sand, and it's forcing the Pentagon to completely tear up its old playbook. And here it is. This is the statement at the very heart of this crisis. Iran has made it crystal clear that if a war starts, it's not going to be contained. Every single American facility, every base, every outpost in the region is now considered fair game. And just look at the scope of this. We're not talking about a few bases on the front line. No. Iran is openly targeting the entire nervous system of the U.S. presence, the command centers, the supply hubs, and any support facility anywhere. They're essentially saying that from Qatar to Saudi Arabia to Bahrain, nothing and nowhere is off limits. So with just one threat, the entire strategic map is being redrawn in real time. The old rules are going out the window, and the potential battlefield is getting bigger by the day. And not a single shot has even been fired yet. Now, here's where it gets really complicated for American war planners. Their key allies in the Gulf, the very countries hosting these huge U.S. bases, have reportedly said no. They've told the U.S. that it cannot use their countries as a launching pad for an attack on Iran, period. So, if you can't use your land bases, what do? Well, you turn to the sea. The U.S. is adapting by moving in its massive carrier strike groups, like the USS Abraham Lincoln and the USS Gerald R. Ford. These things basically become floating, mobile military bases. They're sovereign American territory that can strike from international waters. And all of this, all these moves and counter-moves, it all brings us to the biggest flashpoint in the region. Because in this high-stakes chess match, Iran thinks it's found America's Achilles heel, its number one ally, Israel. See, from Iran's point of view, Israel isn't just an ally. It's basically seen as the largest de facto American military base in the Middle East. They believe U.S. interests are so deeply tied to Israel that an attack there isn't just a regional blow, it's a direct hit on the U.S. itself, one that could send shockwaves all the way to the American economy. And to really get the threat, you only need to remember one number: 15. 15 times the speed of sound. That's how fast Iran's Khorramshahr-4 hypersonic missile travels. This thing flies up into space before coming screaming down on its target, which makes it an absolute nightmare for any current missile defense system to stop. And listen, the Khorramshahr-4 isn't some one-off wonder weapon. Iran has a whole arsenal of proven ballistic missiles, like the Shahab-3 and the Haibar Shaken, which literally translates to the Fortress Buster. This isn't just a theory. It's a real, credible, multi-layered threat aimed at their most strategic targets. So what you have now is a massive problem. Two completely different military philosophies on a collision course. The US and Iran aren't even preparing to fight the same kind of war. It's like one is playing checkers and the other is playing three-dimensional chess. You see, on one side, the US is reportedly planning for a limited war. The goal is to contain the fighting, keep it confined, and minimize the fallout across the region. But on the other side, Iran is all in on a widespread war.
Their plan is to deliberately expand the conflict to hit every single American interest and cause the absolute maximum regional chaos. These two strategies, they just can't exist in the same reality. And here's the endgame of Iran's widespread strategy. The core idea is that even one successful missile strike on Israel would create such panic in the U.S. financial markets that it could directly impact the Dow Jones, causing billions, maybe trillions in economic damage. It's not just warfare, it's asymmetric economic warfare. So that's where we are. Evacuations are happening, red lines have been drawn. And two powers are preparing for two completely different wars. All the pieces are being moved into position, and it leaves us with one final chilling question. If this powder keg does ignite, how on earth could a war with no limits ever be stopped?